what I love about vaudeville, in addition to it being like amazingly entertaining, is that it basically took New York and it just jammed it all together on a single stage.
How so?
Because you have the fallout from like, you have the Civil War.
Right.
And like, you know, the soldiers come home and it's 1860 and they're going to like, they called them like concert saloons or something, where there basically was like music and like early variety and the early stages of vaudeville, but it was like dudes smoking and drinking and like
watching dancing girls and singing in a piano.
Girls. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And vaudeville kind of grew out of that, and eventually what happened is it became, I mean, the most famous vaudeville place is called the Palace.
Where is that?
In New York City. I think it's in Times Square.
Okay.
Vaudeville kind of like, when it left the Bowery, it went to Union Square and then eventually, but it was like...
It kept moving uptown a little bit.
Yeah, it just kept going. It kept going.
Like more and more respectable.
Yeah,
all of a sudden it's on the Upper East Side.
Yeah, well, that was the idea, is they had all these like variety shows and various things that would happen and little like niche things. And then there was basically like two big...
Sort of venues or...
They were in... Sometimes it was like... German bar saloons, like sometimes it was like pretty shady and shitty and they kept getting like shut down by the police, and sometimes it like wasn't that bad. There was a fellow named Tony Pastor.
Okay.
And he's like kind of considered, I don't know if you'd say like the father of vaudeville, but he kind of like made it what it was. He started as a performer.
Okay.
His first gig was he was singing at a dime museum of P.T. Barnum's back in the day. And he...
was it a museum just dedicated to the dime? Or was it a dime to get into the museum? And then it was like curiosities and stuff?
It was curiosities.
Okay. So, all right.
It was just girls dancing on dimes. And 42nd Street was born.
And they'd hand you 9 cents change.
Yep. And, yeah, so Tony Pastor started as a performer, and he like did clown, and he did a bunch of stuff. And then he was basically like looking at these variety houses where all these men would go, and was like, we can incorporate a lot more people. And so he started producing shows.
Okay.
And in order to encourage women to come, to kind of like double the ticket, if a guy brings his wife, then they're paying twice the price, he would do things like give away 60 hams a week. And you could like win a ham, or you could win a bag of coal or a bag of flour. So it started encouraging people to come, and he kind of like clean up the acts a little bit.
Okay.
And then so he started creating like vaudeville houses in the Bowery in New York. And
so it was like common man theater to some extent, like, because there was big deal theater that people would go to.
Yeah, there was like theater.
Yes.
And then there was like dudes watching dancing girls while everyone's super drunk on cheap whiskey.
Right.
And Tony Pastor made the middle and was basically like, there's so much lower middle class happening.
Yeah.
And in New York, it was pockets of Germans and Irish and the Yanks and all these things. And basically, vaudeville is act after act after act that's totally disparate.
Yeah.
And then you put them all on a stage, so you have two Irish comedians having a drunken fight.
Right. Because it's super racially and sexually sensitive.
Oh, yeah.
But amazing, but available for everyone. I mean, there's blackface and there's sexy stuff.
That was the one thing that they could all agree on was like...
Oh, is that nobody liked black people?
Yeah, to like that, it was like, you know, you had like... The Irish and like the Scotsmen were kind of the butts of a lot of jokes. Everyone
sure, because they're
Scotsmen
cheap.
Were like, cheap bastards. But it was kind of like,
The Thrifty Scotsman is the name of a chain in the South. That's like a 7-Eleven.
Oh my God.
And the only reason I know that is because there is a Southern guy who of Scottish descent or Jewish descent who said, you couldn't do one called the Frugal Jew. It would not. It would never
it's essentially
be.
The same
it's
thing.
the same joke, but there would be an uprising.
Yeah.
So the Scottish and the Irish fight, and they get drunk.
Yeah, and then you'd have also like melodramas, and you'd have short scenes. You'd have
romance
like,
and comedy.
Yeah, like Burns and Allen came out of that doing their comedy, skits and stuff like that, and
a lot of music. I would think
a lot of music. Maggie Klein was like huge.
Was it ballads? What were they? What kind of music was it? Were they sing-alongs? I want to go to a sing-along.
Oh my God, let's go to a sing-along. Let's go.